Hello my friends, and welcome back to a continuing blind Let's Play Ace Attorney Dual Destinies for the PS5. My name is the FlightlessBird, this is your story-based gaming channel, and today, maybe we can end Athena's nightmare for good. I hope you're all having a wonderful, fantastic day today. The weapon that took Dr. Sykes' life was the katana. That much is for sure. So if I can show a possibility that Athena didn't use the katana, it could help me prove her innocent.
A different weapon, you say? What weapon would that be exactly?
Right, of course you would ask that. I can see how you're floundering, Mr. Wright. Did you, speak without thinking again, as always? How does he do that? But I can't back down. Not here. Not now. That's right, I did. Because it's so obvious, it doesn't require any thought. What did you say? Okay, so maybe that was an exaggeration, but there has to be something. Was there some other bladed weapon in the robotics lab that day? Maybe there's something in one of the crime scene photos. Wait a minute. There is something. There is a high probability that that was in the lab. I don't have that particular weapon here in evidence right now, but I do have a piece of evidence just like it. Other than the katana, there is another blade that must have been at the crime scene. The only blade I can think of is this one. A utility knife, because that's the only blade that's here.
Take that! But that's the murder weapon in the clay tearing case.
Yes, this is a knife that took Mr. Terran's life. But there must have been a knife just like this at the crime scene 7 years ago as well. Toolkits containing utility knives like this are issued to Space Center employees. And a robotics lab especially would naturally have one of these around.
Objection!
But besides the katana, no other bladed weapon was found at the site. It was in the investigation report, if you don't know.
Objection!
Of course I knew that. Once you told me just now. Then here's something else you already know. There was a toolkit at the scene. But it didn't contain any blades. Here is a photo of its contents. There's a blade missing! That's it! I mean, it's so obvious now.
You're right, I don't see any kind of bladed tool.
Fine, but isn't there something odd about the design on these handles? Guy, they're out of order too. Yeah, they're out of order. Therefore, there was no other bladed weapon in the room.
Objection!
I disagree. This toolkit definitely contained a knife. And what proof do you have of that? Don't tell me your eye for art is failing you too, Mr. Edgeworth. You are the last person in the world who should be criticizing my aesthetic sense.
No, you still be watching out for your ocular health. Yeah. Please proceed, Mr. Wright.
Notice that the handles of each of these tools have a sort of design on them.
I see that they do, but what significance does it have?
It is clear that one of the tools is missing from this kit. If we arrange the tools into a specific pattern, we might be able to tell which part of the overall design is missing. Is that the theory your pitiful sense of aesthetics helped you come up with? Edgeworth, just let it go, man. Show the court then, if you would. What pattern or design would we see if we were to rearrange these tools? We'd see Gaiaxa. Where is a Gaiaxa?
And what design is this supposed to represent?
The Gaiaxa logo, Your Honor. It's on all the Space Center's documents and pamphlets. As you're aware, Gaiaxa is the program that operates the Cosmos Space Center. Look how brightly the Gaiaxa logo shines in the sunlight above the entranceway. I really dig the stars and rocket motif if it's got going. Gaiaxa, huh? Isn't that the new name of the Federal Space R&D program?
I think I see it now. But,
Yes, which is the tools shown in this photo. The red A part of the logo is missing, and if you look at the knife has the A, or the star. And this is where the murder weapon from the Terran case comes into play. If we were to place the utility knife in the open slot, it would complete the Gaiaxa logo.
so it would. Well, then that means...
Admit it, Mr. Edgeworth. My aesthetic sense is keener than yours. And while you're at it, admit that the weapon Miss Sykes used could have been this one.
Order the court.
Miss Sykes confessed to having a memory of stabbing the victim. Admittedly, Miss Sykes most likely did stab someone using the utility knife. However, the weapon used to kill Dr. Sykes was the katana. Therefore, the act of stabbing that Miss Sykes remembers couldn't be that of Dr. Sykes. Very well. Let's suppose for a minute that Miss Sykes did use the utility knife. Oh yes, and tell me, how does that change anything? Come again? What if the katana was only being used as a decoy to conceal the true murder weapon? What if the real weapon that took the victim's life was the utility knife? Don't be ridiculous. Are you changing the premise of your entire argument? I am merely offering a hypothetical situation derived from your logic. Miss Sykes could have put blood on the katana to make it look like the murder weapon, and then conceal the knife on a personage until Blackwell carried it away.
Well, it does clear up the contradiction between Miss Sykes' memory and the evidence.
If in fact the murder weapon is a utility knife, then fate has dealt you a cruel hand. For you had just proven the existence to the rest of us. The knife's existence to the rest of us with your own logic.
Objection!
The prosecution is attempting to lead the court.
Objection!
You're the one attempting to lead the court, Mr. Wright. By forcing us to forget the facts in this case. Need I remind you that there were only 2 people in the lab at the time of the murder? And if that defendant herself recalls stabbing someone with her own hands? No. It matters not whether the murder weapon was a katana or utility knife. As long as we knew that the victim and the defendant were the only ones there. You cannot escape the fact that it was Athena Sykes who killed her own mother. I don't believe it. Why? Why does this keep happening? Every time I find a contradiction, it vanishes and the suspicions keep coming back. It's almost as if. Now you're finally starting to get it. Your contradictions keep vanishing because the charge is true. And the suspicion keeps coming back to the defendant, because that's where it belongs. Phoenix Wright, when will you open up your eyes and accept the truth? I don't want to believe it. It can't be true. But what if?
That's right, you fought a good fight. I think you've done all you can do.
Is giving up really the only option? No. Snap out of it, Phoenix! What is the matter with you? Giving in to doubt? Can't look back. Forward is the only way to go. No, Your Honor, not yet. It isn't over yet. Right. I can't lose sight of what's important. I believe in Athena. I will always believe in her to the very end. A defense lawyer never gives up hope on his client. I had to pick myself up and stand firm. Make that brain of yours work, Phoenix. If I don't see a way, I'll just have to go back and look for one. Time to rethink this case thoroughly. Oh, we got a denouement. I could see the fact, well, kind of an early denouement. I could see the fact that Athena must have stabbed someone with the utility knife. This must have been what Ponko witnessed as Athena's hug. But Prosecutor Blackwell didn't see the knife at the scene. That means that someone must have removed it from the lab before he arrived. What could have taken the utility knife from the lab? Who could have? Someone else. Third person was at the scene. By trusting Athena, I have to conclude that there must have been a third person at the scene. I mean, that makes sense though, because if the mom died, there must have been someone that Athena was attacking. But according to Ponko's testimony, Athena and the mother were the only two there. So now how did this person manage to escape Ponko's detection? It must have been another robot. I know, this person must fool Ponko's facial recognition by covering. Really? Is that a thing they can do? Cover their own face? I thought it was a robot. But wait a minute, Ponko has a heartbeat detection system too. Even if they cover their own face, Ponko would have still detected their presence. But she wouldn't have been able to tell who they were. Wait, that's it! The culprit could have covered their face and posed as which person to avoid detection. Sykes? Because they hugged her, right? If the culprit posed as a victim, that would explain why Ponko thought only she and Athena were there. All I had to do was take advantage of Ponko's basic facial recognition features. The culprit used this in order to pose as a victim. Her jacket. Because that's how they recognize. The culprit could have posed as a victim by wearing her jacket with her ID tag on it. But that still leaves a heartbeat detection system. How did the culprit get around that? It wouldn't have worked if Ponko could detect the real Dr. Sykes' heartbeat too. So does this mean that the real Dr. Sykes was already dead by that time? If that's the case, then who did Athena stab? The real culprit. That's it. It's only that makes sense. The person Athena stabbed wasn't Dr. Sykes. It was the person who murdered her and then pretended to be her. The real culprit. Now that Mr. Wright has finally finished thinking, let us bring this to a swift end, shall we? Please give us your verdict, Your Honor, so that we can move on to the hostage negotiations.
You are absolutely right, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I hereby...
Objection!
I didn't say it was finished. I was only pausing for a second. Because I realized something so shocking, I had to take a break to digest it. But now I know for a fact that Miss Sykes is innocent. But Punko saw me. She witnessed the moment of the crime. Yes, Punko did witness something. She saw the hug. In other words, the moment to use the utility knife. But the person you stabbed wasn't your mother.
What do you see, Mr. Wright?
The answer is simple. The person Miss Sykes stabbed was a third person posing as Dr. Sykes.
What?
Objection!
Do you really expect us to swallow that, Mr. Wright? According to the robot's statements, there was no third person there. Did you really think I wanted to see through your ludicrous grab for time?
Objection!
After all we've been through, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm disappointed. Don't you know by now that this smile of mine means I have absolute confidence? Ah, you make that pose all the time, regardless of the facts. He's got a point. Klunko's strange malfunction. Mr. Tarrant, you look pale. Shall I help you to the sick bay? Mr. Tarrant? But that's Apollo you're talking to. Oh, this hunk of junk here is mistaken Apollo for Clay. Maybe Apollo is possessed by Clay's ghost. No, he was wearing his jacket. That was another case of mistaken identity caused by a jacket ID tag. All because Klunko couldn't read Apollo's facial features due to the eye patch. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, a mask could nullify the robot's facial recognition, and then all the person would have to do is wear a jacket with the victim's ID tag to pose as her.
Objection!
Of all the ridiculous theories, what could a silly disguise like that do? Have you forgotten that the robot also has a heartbeat detection system? If there was a third person at the scene, the robot would have detected them. I'm sorry, Mr. Edgeworth, but that doesn't count for much, I'm afraid. Because by that time, Dr. Sykes' heart had already stopped beating. What?
So does it mean?
Yes, Your Honor. The person Miss Sykes stabbed. This third person who was posing as Dr. Sykes is her mother's real killer. But that's... I'm impossible! A mask? The person I stabbed was wearing a mask?
Order in the court. Miss Sykes, did you say something?
A mask? Oh, what was that? Yes, I remember a... Ah! Athena, what is it? I remember a man with a mask. How could he? What did he do to my mother? Oh, my head. Ah!
Miss Six, you alright?
No. The black cyclops. They're breaking.
Truth will set you free.
It's all coming back to me. Everything that happened the day my mother was murdered. They're gone. The black cyclops are finally gone. You didn't really stab your mother, did you? It's all right, Athena. Just tell us what you saw that day. I was drawing a picture. When I was done, I went to show it to my mom. I opened the door, and then... yeah. It's all right. I'm right here. You're safe, Athena. She was on the floor by the workbench with the katana sticking out of her. There was a handkerchief over her face, but I knew it was her by her clothes. And there was a man there.
A man?
Hold it!
Quiet, Your Honor. Go on, Athena. Wow! Phoenix telling the judge to shush his mouth. That's not common. Normally that's the prosecution doing that. He tried to attack me, and in a panic, I grabbed the knife that was there, and... he dodged at first, so I only got his claws, but I tried again. And this time you got him, didn't you? I did. I remember clearly now. The knife went into the back of his hand. Then he kicked me, and I passed out. So we're looking for someone who has a scar on the hand. The murder weapon used on Taryn. Athena also used one of these to stab the victim's hand during the incident 7 years ago. When I came to, my mom wasn't moving. No, we don't have any pictures. We can't look at pictures of people. There's a lot of people here. So who does like, we can't look at anyone's hands here, so we can't tell. I had to do something. I had to fix her. I thought. So I asked Ponko to move her to the operating table. Something's wrong with Mom, so I'm taking her apart to fix her. So that's why she said that. Your Honor, as you can see, the defendant has just given us critical new testimony. A man was there before Miss Sykes arrived. A man who covered the victim's face and put on the victim's jacket. This man is the real culprit.
Miss Sykes, do you have any idea who this man was?
No, I'm afraid I don't. A few moments ago, Miss Sykes mentioned a mask. Athena, can you tell us anything else about that? Yes, the mask. It was my mom's Japanese theater mask. I think it was the one hanging on the wall of the lab. Yeah, it was.
Oh, this mask in here in the wall?
It was kind of spooky, that mask. My mom used to tell me that no mask even has the power to turn any human being into a phantom. Oh, the phantom. For phantom?
It would seem. Well, that new suspect has emerged. And that means that all suspicion against Miss Sykes has.
You see, this is precisely why I can't trust the court system. Athena Sex is a murderer and won't accept any other verdict. Miss Blackwell. So this is not good. A new suspect. Where's the proof this person ever existed? Who says it wasn't all just a dream in the little princess's groggy little head? She's right. We don't have any hard evidence of a masked man's existence.
Objection!
Or do we? Thank you, Mr. Wright. I'll never be able to repay you for all that you've done. But I'm fine now, because I can say with certainty that I didn't kill my mother. Oh, I like this music. Athena, I'm so glad for you. More and more memories are coming back now. So I'd like to say one thing if I could. Honko came to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. to recharge. I went to the robotics lab at about 2 p.m. for my regular recharge. Just as about to charge up, Athena came in and hugged Mommy Mentis. And then Mommy Mentis fell down. After that, I was recharging, so I don't know anything. I see where you're going with this. If Mommy Mentis was really the killer in disguise. Right. Then he must have come to the robotics lab before 2 p.m. Do I have anything here in the evidence that can help me find this person who came to the lab before 2 p.m.? No. Ah, I love this music. So good. It says here between 1 and 3. But it looks like it's looking for a person. Could it be the coat on the floor?
Take that!
Nope, it's not that. Will it now? Then reveal the way, by all means. How about if we team up for this, Mr. Edgeworth? No. How about you, Your Honor? What do you say?
Certainly, I'll help you. I'll help you to remember to think before you speak.
Ow! Tag team by lemon juice and paper cut. Current image. Well, the only image we have is the videotape. But Blackwell was the only one. But what if this videotape has to be before 2 o'clock?
Take that!
This is Prosecutor Blackwell leaving the scene after the incident at around 3 p.m. What I'm wondering is, does the video show anyone else passing by there before then? I don't see anything in the investigation report. It looks like they didn't check. Aha, just as I thought. So if we rewind the footage and go back to around 2 p.m., we should be able to see the true culprit leaving the scene.
Very, very well then, let's take a look.
Can't be this easy, can it? There, please stop it right there. Who is it? Okay, a man who's been stabbed. We don't have a facial recognition. We just have a stab wound on the arm and a ripped coat.
Just like I said, there's a man leaving the scene of the crime.
Miss Sykes, do you remember this person? That's not... He'd be too young. It's not Solomon, is it? I mean, my list of suspects is rather thin. That's him. I'm certain of it. He's wearing my mother's jacket. He's also got a bandage arm or hand. I did. But what I really want to see was her jacket. The jacket on display. That was Dr. Sykes's. Can you see it? There's a slasher made with the utility knife that day. And I'm sure that knife is under the jacket somewhere.
So then, everything Miss Sykes said.
Exactly. It proves that Miss Sykes' memory was correct. Dr. Sykes' killer arrived at the robotics lab before 2 p.m. He killed her and hit her face with a handkerchief. Then he disguised himself with Dr. Sykes' jacket and mask that were there in the lab. The culprit probably knew beforehand that Punko charged up at 2 p.m. every day. So he waited for Punko to come to the lab for a regular charge. By leaving Dr. Sykes' jacket on, the culprit tricked Punko into thinking he was Dr. Sykes, thereby making it look like she was alive up to that point in time. All to disguise the real time of death.
Objection!
It's getting good. It's a nice theory, Mr. Wright, but I'm afraid that it's just not possible. What? Why not? The victim's jacket is clearly visible right there in this video. And that right there is precisely the problem. The ID tag on the jacket at the scene confirms beyond doubt that it belonged to the victim. If the person who left the lab truly was wearing the victim's jacket, then how could it possibly have wound up back at the crime scene? What's going on? Doesn't make sense. Edgeworth's right. If the culprit was wearing the jacket, how did it get back to the lab? The killer didn't bring him back. The victim's dead. Miss Sykes brought the jacket back to the lab. I see. So you say Miss Sykes is an accomplice then?
Objection!
I'll believe in Miss Sykes' complete innocence. To the bitter end.
Well, with the way things are going, it might very well be a bitter end for the both of you.
Ah! Your Honor, please give me another chance. Edgeworth's right. The culprit was wearing the jacket. And the victim was dead. The killer used the jacket as disguise to make his escape. But in order to conceal that fact, he had to get the jacket back to the crime scene. So the culprit simply returned to the robotics lab later and planted it there. Contradiction resolved.
Objection!
Except that it would have been impossible. The only people who came to the robotics lab after the killer were Prosecutor Blackwell and the people who reported the body. A body has been discovered! Oh, shush. And they claim that the jacket was there when they arrived. So, when you propose this mysterious man, you had the chance to return the jacket?
A puzzling question indeed.
When did the culprit have a chance to bring the jacket back? When the body was found? The only time the culprit could have returned the jacket was when the body was found. Mr. Wright, do you realize the implication of that argument? Yeah, he would have to be in the police force, right? I do. Most people, when they come across a murder, focus their attention on the body. The culprit could have taken advantage of that split second to plant the jacket. In other words, the true culprit of this case, the man known as the Phantom, was one of the first people to discover the body.
I would never have thought of that. Order in the court. What is the meaning of this, Prosecutor Edgeworth?
The body was discovered and reported by a group of 3 people. They were there to collect the space probe's capsule in preparation for the Hat 1 launch. One of those people had a special bag to transport the capsule in. Oh, you mean the shock-resistant bag? Correct. Okay, so not one of the policemen, one of the people at the center. Got it. I suppose that the jacket was in that bag. It could have been returned to the scene of the crime without anyone noticing. I'll see to it that you get the reports on these 3 people. You will? We should also check the facial recognition database for that robot. If this person felt the need to hide his face with a theater mask, it might mean that his facial data was once registered.
For Prosecutor Edgeworth, does this mean?
I had to admit, I believe Miss Sykes' memories to be credible. You win, right? Not that this was an official trial anyway.
Did my ears deceive me? Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you actually conceding?
Is it true, boss? Does this mean I can't believe it. It's over. I won. Well, you still have the other Blackwell to worry about. I prove that both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell are innocent. Your Honor, I see no need to further prolong this trial.
Objection!
Hold on, Mr. Wright. Have you forgotten who's in charge of this trial?
That's right. I am the one who's supposed to say I need no longer further prolong.
Not you either, Your Honor. Now, silence. All the dots. The little princess who was truly beloved by Metis and who repaid that love with death. All these years hating Athena was the only thing that kept me going. But what do I do now? Can anybody tell me? How am I supposed to go on? Miss Blackwell? So she's admitting. How unlike you, Ara. Metis was deeply passionate about her work, and she chose you as her partner. Isn't that? Shut up, Simon! You know exactly how I felt about her. Her respect as a coworker wasn't all that I wanted.
Well then, what did you want from her?
Did you really just go there, Your Honor? Ara, there is something I want to say if you will lend me an ear. I have in my possession a lead on who Mentis' murder is. You do? Right to know. You asked me about the identity of the Phantom of 7 years past. So that's right. The Phantom. The person Blackwell was looking for even from behind bars. 7 years ago, someone hatched a plan to sabotage that Hat-1 rocket. The spy. But he was no ordinary spy. We knew not about him, his background, his appearance. We came to refer to him as the Phantom. At that time, I was working with the police to hunt him down. And then, one day, a miracle occurred. And I obtained a lead on him.
Oh, how exciting! What was the lead?
A recording of the Phantom's voice, but the quality was too poor for proper voice analysis. Yet I had hope. Ara's coworker was a scientist who could analyze human emotions. So I asked her to evaluate the recording using analytical psychology. And that scientist was Dr. Seitz? Yes, a spy's greatest fear is to have his true identity discovered. In addition to Hat-1, Dr. Six's result in the recording was surely among his targets. Okay, so now we have a motive. Excellent. But his search of the space center bore no fruit, so he must have started to panic.
He couldn't find them. Where could they have been?
Who is to say? You have them. Wow, I bet he's never let that out of his sight all these years. How in the world did you smuggle them into prison? Oh, I have my ways. What's more, my partner is especially talented at that sort of thing. Taka! That's never getting old. I love that so much. The way the judge just looks up, it's classic. I work to lure the Phantom in by spreading rumors throughout the underworld. I was even granted permission to prosecute cases to attract the Phantom's attention. Just try to retrieve your identity, you bloody butcher, became my taunt. And what about the results Dr. Sykes drew up for you? Was there any useful information? Here, you can see for yourself. But take good care of it. It's all I have left of my mentor. I will. Better hold on to this real tight. Fam psych profile added to court record. I was trying to see what it was, but I guess we're looking at here. Subject's emotions rarely fluctuate, and he doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. Psychopath? Emotional output of this voice extremely weak compared to typical voices. Subject deemed to have unique psychological makeup with almost no emotional fluctuation. No emotional fluctuation? Huh. A spy who experiences no emotions, no sadness nor anger, and naturally no fear. He is the very definition of a phantom. A monster with no heart. Don't you see? This creature is the rot that destroyed our lives and set what ails us all into motion. The Phantom, indeed. A fitting name for the one who has brought darkness to our world.
Well then. Seems a faint image of this man has started to take shape. Based on what we have learned, I'd like all of you to conduct further investigation. This is not a formal trial. I do want to follow protocol. If I may, I'd like to hand out my verdicts and bring these proceedings to an end.
Whatever. Do what you want. You'll hear no objections from me. Yes, please, Your Honor. It's over. It's finally over.
Well, very well, in that case. Prosecutor Blackwell, could you please take the stand? As a result of this trial, your innocence has been proven. The verdict handed down 7 years ago is hereby overturned. And now, the defendant of the current trial, Miss Athena Sykes.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, thank you. Thank you for everything. Athena, you're more than welcome.
If everyone is ready, I will now give my verdict.
Who the heck is objecting now?
You!
Why are you objecting? Just about to get Athena off. What are you doing? Apollo. What is the meaning of this? Congratulations, Mr. Wright and Prosecutor Edgeworth. You uncovered the truth from 7 years ago and you saved Prosecutor Blackwell. However, I can't allow this trial to end just yet. What the heck is going on? Why, Apollo? Why would you do this to us? Really? It's a to be continued in that moment? Well, we still have, what, a few minutes? Let's go. December 20th, District Court. Courtroom number 4.
Mr. Justice, please explain your seal.
It's very simple. There isn't much to explain. The defendant, Miss Athena Sykes, might not be innocent. What are you talking about? Case from 7 years ago has been settled. I'm not talking the past here. I'm talking about the present case. It's still not clear who killed Clay Terran. But, Apollo, why would you? Miss Sykes, please listen quietly to what I have to say. What in the world is Apollo trying to do? Your Honor, please allow me a little of the court's time.
But, this is a trial for the case from 7 years ago.
Miss Blackwell, I'd like to ask a favor of you. Just as you lost someone close to you, I lost someone close to me too. I'm sure you want to know the real truth of what happened as much as I do. Apollo. Sure, you know I'm all for the truth. Now let's see you expose the princess's guilt. Judge, I give my permission. Continue with the trial.
Very well. Is that alright with you, Prosecutor Edgeworth?
The prosecution has no objections. Let's hear Mr. Justice's testimony. I'll have the police's investigation report brought immediately. Not you too, Edgeworth. Really hope it's because you have something up your sleeve.
Well, very well. Your opening statement, please, Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth.
As you wish. Let's review the case of the murder of Clay Taryn. It was made clear in the previous trial that Solomon Starbuck was not his killer. Therefore, the culprit was someone else. On that day, the culprit waited for the astronauts in boarding lounge 1. When the two made their escape out of the Space Museum, the killer attacked Mr. Taryn with the same type of knife that was used 7 years ago. The murderer then escaped into the Space Museum. Next, Dr. Yuri Cosmos switched the launch pads. After that, the culprit visited or exited the Space Museum and escaped via boarding lounge 2. Therefore, the trial must make clear who Mr. Taryn's true killer was. In other words, we must discover who it was that escaped through the Space Museum that day.
Well, thank you, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Mr. Wright, is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd better rearrange my evidence. Relevant evidence swapped into the court record.
Now then, Mr. Justice, your testimony, if you please.
Apollo Justice's accusation. I suspected Miss Sykes of the murder of Clay Taryn. My growing suspicions were confirmed when this incriminating evidence presented itself. In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launchpad switch to escape. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes on the charge of murder. Dude, what is going on here? I mean, I guess Athena and him haven't known each other that long, but still.
Order in the court. Mr. Justice, realize you're charging your own co-worker with murder, don't you?
Yes, Your Honor. Because that is the conclusion my investigation has led me to. But, Apollo, why? How could you suspect me too? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. What if she really did it? Like, what if that's the truth of this case? That Athena actually did murder this guy. I just don't see it, but I mean, it would be one of the biggest twists in Ace Attorney history, where the twist is there is no twist. The killer is exactly who we thought the killer was at the beginning, but just didn't believe it. I don't get it. Just what did you find out over the past few days to make you think this? Unless he's doing this on purpose because he wants to figure out who the real killer is. I don't know. It would have been nice to give me a full health bar there. I suspected Miss Sykes of the murder of Clay Taryn. What first made you suspicious of Miss Sykes? It all started when Miss Sykes and I were investigating the crime scene. When she saw the weapon that killed Mr. Taryn, my bracelet reacted. She said she'd never seen the knife before, but my bracelet told me otherwise. And then, every time after that, my bracelet would react when she talked about the case. Well, yeah, we already know she was repressing memories. Poor Apollo must have been beside himself during that investigation. I didn't know what to do or think. I couldn't even sleep. In that condition, I knew I couldn't be any good in court. So I decided to wear an eye patch, so I wouldn't be able to perceive any of her tells. So that's why Apollo was acting so strangely. But the reason Miss Sykes unconsciously reacted to the knife that way is because she stabbed her mother's murderer with one identical to it 7 years ago.
Objection!
But that knife was also the murder weapon that was used to kill Clay Tarrant. My bracelet could have also reacted to her because she knew she was his killer too.
I guess he has a point.
But my bracelet wasn't the only reason I became suspicious of her. My growing suspicions were confirmed when its incriminating evidence presented itself.
Hold it!
That's the lighter that was found in the Space Museum with their fingerprints on it, right? But even if it seems decisive, there must be some other facts we don't know about yet. If that's so, go ahead and prove it then. Look, honestly, I don't want to believe it's true either. But Miss Sykes was the only one who was in the Space Museum at the time of the murder. But Mr. Justice, Miss Sykes had absolutely no motive to kill Mr. Tarrant.
Objection!
See, I was thinking maybe Mr. Tarrant is the Phantom. But he would have been 16. I mean, do you think a spy is 16 years old? And he's a long... No, wait, no. Solomon. I was thinking Solomon could have done it. Well, I was thinking Clay could have done it, but he's too young. What if Solomon did it? I mean, he would have been, what, 26? He could have been a spy. Maybe all these, like... all these things that he goes through in his head is because he's making it up because he doesn't want to be in... No, but he was in space. He was one of the first people to discover the body. She was one of the first people to discover the body. But she's dead. Okay, so who was one of the first to discover the body? So we have Arm and Cosmos. So far we only have two people, Arm and Cosmos. Which means it could have been either one of these. Arm is a bomb specialist who was murdered. What if she's a spy? It's possible. Like, I would buy her being the spy more than Cosmos. She would have been 20. The fact that we think it's a guy means nothing. I mean, if she's a spy, she could have disguised herself as a man to make her identity even less susceptible. Where's my sus meter going? More towards him or more towards her? More towards her. She, in my opinion, is more suspicious. Because didn't they say that there was going to be a bombing 7 years ago? So she would have been called to the scene. She comes to the scene because of the bomb report. So she engineered the bombing so that way she could get at Metis and kill her. That makes logical sense to me. She planned this all out from the beginning. The fake explosion or the real explosion. Either way, she did this to get on the scene to kill Metis. Okay, that's my current theory. It may change between now and the next video, but that's my current theory. 7 years ago, Miss Sykes lived at the Cosmos Space Center. It wouldn't be strange if she had some kind of connection to him. Besides, people sometimes kill for motives we can't even imagine. I know you've seen plenty of cases like that in your own career, Mr. Wright. I still can't believe this. How can you actually suspect Athena, Apollo? In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launch pad switch to escape.
Hold it!
Isn't it possible that somebody else used that same escape route? I'm afraid not, Mr. Wright. Why not? Recall, there is a security camera in boarding lounge 1 aimed at the launchpad door. It's the camera that captured Mr. Terran and Mr. Starbuck. But there's also another security camera on boarding lounge 2. It recorded Mr. Terran's killer, or rather Miss Sykes, coming out of the Space Museum. A camera in boarding lounge 2? That's the first I've heard of it, but it makes sense. Athena said she had snuck into the Space Museum the night before the incident, and then was overcome and passed out until around noon the next day. It wasn't until about noon of the next day. I didn't even know about the explosions. When I woke up, nobody was around, so I just went out into the boarding lounge too. That must have been when the camera captured her. And that's what made Apollo suspect her even more. But wait a minute. In that case, it most likely recorded the true culprit as well.
Objection!
That's a negative on that one too, Mr. Wright. And the footage taken after the incident. Miss Sykes is the only one who appears. What? Why?
Order in the court.
That can't be. But if it is, then it is incredibly incriminating. Wasn't it you who proved in the previous trial that the way the culprit escaped was via the Space Museum after the pods had been switched? A fact you previously proved turned on its ear, leaving your client high and dry. I must say, that is vintage Phoenix Wright. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes on the charge of murder.
Hold it!
Believing in your client to the end is a basic principle of a good defense. Shouldn't you extend that same principle to your own coworker? You're probably right. Maybe I'm not even fit to be a lawyer. However, I don't care. This case is special to me. Clay was my friend, and that's why I just had to know the truth. Apollo suspected his trusted coworker of killing his friend. To dispel his doubts, he investigated on his own, but that led to only more doubts. Apollo must have been really struggling with this. Well, Apollo may have had doubts, but I'll say it again. Athena Sykes isn't the murderer. Then I only have one thing to say. Evidence is everything in court. Well, Mr. Wright, think you have the concrete proof to knock down my arguments?
Your arguments have been very clear, Mr. Justice. And your facts appear to be indisputable.
Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think of my theory? It looks like not even you can deny it. Miss Sykes was the only one who used the only possible escape route. Under these circumstances, there can be no other suspect but the defendant. Unless you think there was an alternative escape route. Is that what you think, Mr. Wright?
Well, is that what you think, Mr. Wright?
Is that what you think, Phoenix? Was there an alternative escape route? Sure, why not? Yes, of course there must have been. Just don't ask me what. Huh. You're just bluffing again, aren't you? Me? Bluff? No way!
He knows me too well.
It's fine, Mr. Wright. Even a bluff would suit me just fine. How would you say that? As long as you can. Clear up this doubt inside me. It's like he's begging us to prove Athena's... yeah. He believes that Athena did it because all the evidence points that way, but he's trusting us to prove him wrong. Okay. That makes a lot more sense. Wait, so this is what this is all about? I want to believe in Athena. I really do. But what is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. So that you can really trust me? It seems your junior partner has finally showed us what trials are truly all about. I believe you're right. We prosecutors painstakingly question every detail in the pursuit of the defendant, while we lawyers believe in and defend our clients to the end.
When both sides go hard against each other, that's when we discover the truth.
And what is the truth? Maybe we'll find out in the next episode. I don't know. I just know I need to stop for the day. Much love to you all, my friends. I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic, amazing, awesome day. We'll be back again very soon with more Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. But until then, so long and take care. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to comment on what you saw and what you'd like to see next. I always love to hear your thoughts. But before we go, please remember that you matter, and you are brilliant, and you are loved, and you should always be true to yourself. Never let the world tell you any different. Much love to you from your friendly, feathered, flightless bird.